What's up everyone? Thank you so much for clicking on this video. This is the first video I am making on this new channel of mine. If you didn't know, which you probably didn't, I have another channel, but it's kind of dead because I don't really post on there anymore. And so it was never focused on books at all. So I wanted to just kind of do a clean slate and make a new channel where it's just every video is going to be about books because I love books. I love to read. I spend a lot of my time reading. If you want to know a little bit about me, I'm a mom, 24 years old, and my new favorite obsession is my Kindle, which I need to grab. Be right back. So I want to keep this intro pretty short. Maybe I'll do a book tag or something, or a get to know me book edition somehow. I'll look that up, look into that sometime to do next. But I thought it'd be fun to do a books I read in the year of 2023. It is October, so I feel like I'm a little late to this because usually you probably do it like 6 months and 6 months, but I literally just created this channel, so I'm just going with it. And I have read 40 books so far this year, which is really good for me because I kind of get into phases where I don't read as much and then I read a lot. But for the past like 5 months I've been just reading, loving it, and then I got a Kindle just like a month ago or so, and I'm obsessed with this thing. Since I got this, I have not read a paperback. So you can't see it, but I have 3 stacks. I'm gonna try to show you. I have 3 big stacks of books, and those are the books I've read this year so far. So I'm gonna kind of do a rapid fire review on all of the books I've read so far this year. Also, I normally don't have this big space right there, but a lot of the books are over here, and then there's a lot of spaces up there, but thankfully you can't see it. So I'm just gonna get right into it. And I do wanna warn you that this is not gonna be in-depth reviewing on these books because a lot of them, I don't remember. Is anyone else like that? Like, I will read a book, and if I really love it, I will remember it pretty well, but if I don't really care about it, like, I could not tell you the plot. So keep that in mind as I'm going through this, and I'm just gonna get started. So this is actually the first book I read this year and finished this year. It took me probably like 3 months to finish this book because I was not into reading at the beginning of this year. This is Stephen King's Salem's Lot. Now, I kind of remember this book, but also not really. Like, I could not tell you what this was about at all. I know there was a guy in it, a boy, I think, and like a town. A guy, a boy in a town. That's what I'm gonna describe this as. I checked Goodreads and I rated it 3 stars. So for me, that's like, it was okay. It was okay. I wouldn't read it again. And that's all I gotta say about that one. So, but I love Stephen King. So I'm not trying to act like I don't like Stephen King. I love a lot of his books. Just that one, it just didn't do it for me. Maybe I just was in a weird time of my life with reading. That could be it too. So I know that's the first book I read, but the rest of these are not gonna be in order for like the year because I just can't do that. I'm just gonna get into the books I read. This one is We Were Never Here. I didn't like love this book, but I thought it was a pretty interesting book, and it's also a really quick read. I think I rated it like 3.5 stars. It's about these 2 friends go on vacation. Someone dies, not one of the friends, but some random dude dies. Okay, whatever. It's kind of traumatizing, especially for the one girl. Then they end up going on another vacation, and it's like deja vu. Same thing basically happens again. It's a pretty crazy story, but I feel like it was pretty easy to see what was going to happen, if that makes sense. Like, it just was super like, I know what's going to happen, so I really wasn't shocked by anything in this book, but it was okay. 3.5 stars. Next book, A Flicker in the Dark. This one, I think I rated also 3.5, 4 stars. It was better than the one I just showed you. I read them one and then the next one like right after, so I kind of compared them to each other. This one is about a lady whose father confessed to murdering 6 teenage girls, or 6 girls, I don't know their ages anymore, but 6 girls way back in the day when she was younger. And then she discovers kind of what really happened, and that's all I'm gonna say about it. It was a good read. I actually really like this one. I wish I would have not gotten this though and read it on Kindle Unlimited, but I didn't have a Kindle then, so you know, I got it. It is a really pretty book though. Like, I really like the cover. You know what? To speed through this a little bit, I'm just gonna review all of these together. Okay? So I have a problem where if I start a series, first of all, I buy the whole series before I even start a book. It's a problem of mine. I can't buy a book and not have the rest of the series, because what if I love it so much that I'm just obviously going to read the next one right after, and if I don't have that book, I'm going to be freaking out. So I need to have all the books. But that was not the case with this series, and I feel like that's kind of controversial because I think a lot of people love this series. But I don't know. I just could not do these books. Like, they're all about, it's all a romancy, very, very, what's the word? You know, very sexual. Why can't I think of the word right? Smut. It's very smutty. That's the word, or did we change it? Is there a new word now? I don't know, but full of that, which, you know, I enjoyed that for the most part. All of these books connect because they're all friends, but each book is about different people, but they're all in the same friend groups. I liked that aspect of it, but just like, I don't know. I couldn't even tell you which one was my favorite because I don't really think I liked any of them more than the other. I guess if I had to choose, I would like Twisted Hate the best, just because I thought the dynamic between the two characters was very interesting and I liked it. But the other ones, I don't know. I didn't like these books. I would rate them all 2 stars. That's what we're going with. I know I rated them all a little bit differently, but as a majority, I give that series 2 stars. So I'm sorry if you really love that series. It's just my opinion. It just didn't do it for me, but I did like the smut scenes. I'm going to admit to that. Like, I really like a good smutty book scene. Okay. Anyways, next, I'm going to do the same thing with A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I'm just going to get all of them because I feel like I did like all of these pretty much about the same. I know some people are totally obsessed with these books, and I feel like so far I'm rating everything kind of crappy, but not all the books are crappy. And anyways, I actually really like this series. So they're not getting a crappy rating. I would rate all of these probably around 4 stars. The series as a whole, really good. I'm sure you've read this or you've heard about it or you know what it's about, but the girl, Pip, look, I remember her name. I can't believe that. Pip goes on an investigation of sorts to figure out who killed somebody in her town, and she thinks the wrong person was, you know, found guilty, and then that person committed suicide. It's like a big thing. Her journey of that, I can't really say a lot about. I feel like I can't say a lot about these, even though it doesn't really give a spoiler away, I guess. I don't really remember this one, to be honest with you. Like, I don't really remember this one at all. I remember this one, though. And I know a lot of people didn't like this one, but I thought it was really good. And just, like, what happens to Pip in this one and what she does, I can't give a lot of detail, but it really, really caught me off guard. And I was here for it. The last page of this book, also the text messages, made me so happy. I was like, wow. But it's just crazy. Like, I can't say too much because I don't want to ruin the books if you haven't read it yet, because I literally could say it and it would just kind of ruin it. And I don't want to say what she does to somebody because it'll just ruin it. But really good. I actually enjoyed that series a lot and I see why people love it. I promise you, I am going to get to the books that I really like, but for some reason I keep grabbing the ones that I didn't really care for it. Now, this one, I'm going to review these all together too to try to keep this a little sped up. So this is The Cruel Prince. Y'all, I will say that if I wish I did not buy all of these together, because I bought all of them. I didn't want to waste my money and not read all of them, but I just don't like this series. I don't know what it is. Okay, I take that back. I do know what it is. I feel like with a lot of fantasy books, I can kind of feel like I'm experiencing what I'm reading. Like, I'm really into the characters, what's going on with them. You know, I feel emotional sometimes about it. Like, wow, I'm really into the story. This, I don't know. I could not get into it. This put me into the biggest book slump I've had so far this year. And I did not want to read for like 3 weeks after I finished this series. It took me forever to finish the series. I don't remember the main character's name. I don't remember the differences between these books. I don't know how it ends. I couldn't tell you anything really about it other than the main character and her sisters are taken to like the fantasy land. They're taken by this guy who is one of their dads. They have different dads. He kills their parents. This all happens in the first book, so it's really not much of a spoiler. He kills their parents, or yeah, that's what happens. He kills their parents, take them there. They're raised there. And it just goes from there. I don't remember much else about it, guys. Like, that's my problem with these books. It's been a while too, but I don't really remember it at all. I'm sure you recognize the series. I'm going to do it not based on series because I have definitely different opinions on all of these books. We're going to start with A Court of Thorns and Roses. This I read. This is the first fantasy book I read in years. This really helped me get into fantasy. I never really thought I'd like fantasy, but as you'll see with the rest of my books over here, after I read this, I got super into fantasy. And I know some people don't like the series, but I really did. So this was the first book. And I also know a lot of people don't like it, but I loved this book. So I'm sure you know what this is. I still remember the characters' names. Feyre, is that how you say her name? Feyre. She is a human girl living in a human world. She kills a wolf. Like I said, this happens in the beginning, so it's not much of a spoiler. So I'm not gonna say spoilers because, like, I'm sure you already know this. Kills a wolf. That wolf ended up being, I don't even remember who it ended up being, but it was someone important. So then the guy, this prince or whatever he is of his area, I don't remember the name of, his court, takes her as his captive. They kind of fall in love a little bit, but I can't really say a lot. His name's Tamlin. You may have heard of him. He's an interesting guy. I liked him in this book for the most part until I didn't really like him that much anymore, but that's all I'm going to say about it. So I would rate this one about a 3.5 star because I did thoroughly enjoy this book and I thought it was really interesting, like what she went through, the worm she had to beat. None of this is making sense, but you've probably read it and I don't want to spend too much time on a series that I know majority of people have read. This is the second book. This is a lot of people's favorite. It's not my favorite, but I like it more than the first one, and it's probably my second favorite out of the series. This one was just very, I don't know, it's a thick one. I loved it. There is a romance blossoming between Feyre and someone else in this book that you've probably heard of. I'm not going to say it, just in case, but I just loved it. I don't know what it was. I think the main character, main character, love interests, I guess is what you call it, in a book series. When I said The Cruel Prince didn't speak to me, like, this one spoke to me. This series spoke to me. I felt all the feelings. I was rooting for him. That's how I describe it. Like, I don't know. I just loved it. The book was really good. I think the plot is really good. The way it's fantasy and, like, it's definitely more romancy, I feel. Or maybe it's kind of equal of both, but it's like more romancy than Throne of Glass, if you've read both of those. You know, I've decided, guys, that this is mostly just my opinion on the books and not much of a review where it's like I'm telling you details about the book. So it's kind of just reviews of how I felt, but I'm not going to give you much background on the book because it's hard. I have a messed up mind. I don't recall things well. So next one, this one's even thicker. A Court of Wings and Ruin. I really like this one too. I feel like this one is more focused on not the romancy, which there's definitely romance still, but it's way more about, what's the word? Like, not government, but I can't think of the word, you know. I mean, I guess government, but not like our government. But it's like the courts government, you know, how they're all in different courts. I thought it was really interesting, you know, the fighting, preparing for war, stuff like that. So I'd definitely rate this one like a 4.5 stars. I forgot to say the green one I just showed you, Court of Mist and Fury. Probably 4.5 stars too. Look how tiny this is. This is like, what are they called? Not a novella, or is it a novella? I guess this is like a novella. Court of Frost and Starlight. This book, I hated this book. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people don't like this one either, I don't think. But honestly, I didn't like this one at all. This felt like such, like, even look, I'm like, I read this in about a few hours and it was so boring. Nothing happens because it's just like a little novella. I feel like it was just like a Christmas themed, you know, like a Christmas themed something, but not as good as a Christmas themed like SpongeBob episode that you watch or something. No, this is just a bunch of fluff. Nothing happens. I could not tell you a single thing that happened in this book because I just wanted to finish it so fast so I could move on to the last one. I was so bored. I retained absolutely no information. I don't think there was information to retain from that book. I'm sorry if I'm being really harsh on it, but I just didn't like it, and I don't think we needed that. You can disagree with me. I'm not trying to say if you liked it that that's wrong. It's just my opinion. I just didn't like it. It didn't need to be in there, in my opinion. I give that like a 1.5 star, I guess. I don't even know why I give it a 1. I don't know what the half is for. It's just, I'm feeling generous. So it's a 1.5 star. Next book. Sorry about the glare, guys. I'm using a ring light, so hopefully the quality is pretty good. A Court of Silver Flames. I cherish this book. I didn't know if I was gonna like this when I first started it. Again, thick book, took me a bit to read, but I loved it. Other than you get a different character's perspective, like it's told in a different character's perspective. You don't really see Feyre much in it, which is unfortunate because I do really like her, and I'm just gonna say it. Her and Rice. How do you Rice? I say Rice. Rhysand. However you say it. I wish I could have seen some of them, but that's not what this book is about. Okay, it's about her sister, Nessa. Right? Is that her name? Who's honestly, I could not stand her sister. All of the books, like whenever she was in, I could not stand her. She was so mean, and I was like, why are you so mean? You know, I was reading like, why are you such? I don't get it. You're just so mean. But this book really delved into her and just kind of why she is the way she is, and the ending of this one, like I just loved it. I can't really get into all that either, but this book was just so good. It's my favorite out of the series, which also I think is kind of not everyone's, like most people's favorite is the Court of Mist and Fury, which I know that, but this one, for some reason, I really like Cassian and Nessa's story. I think it's really sweet, and I've heard that there's going to be another book, so I'm really excited for that one after this one, and I just loved it. I have not reread this series because I hate rereading series, but maybe one day I would reread it. I just want to read the blue one because that one just no. But this book, I give 5 stars. I thought it was beautiful. I feel like there's a lot of development, like character development in this. So, you know, I don't hate Nessa now like I did. I'm so sorry, guys. This book, what is this even called? The Wrath and the Dawn. Apparently this is a series. Did I ever finish it? No. This is one of the books where I did not get the whole series. Thank goodness, because I would not have read it. I don't know what this book is about. I have had it for so long. The names in this book confused me to no end. Like some of the names, I don't even know if I can find a name to show you. Caliph of Khorasan and Shahrazad, which I'm not saying are bad names, but it was hard for me to remember who is who. I could not keep up with the names. I could not keep up with the story. I think this was about a lady having to kill like a king or something. That is what I remember from this story, and I remember finishing it, just wanting to finish it so bad so I could move on to something else, and I don't know what happened. I think I kind of was like reading it just to read it and not even, I don't think I retained the knowledge after the page I read. Like I would read it and then forget about it and just to finish it. I think I give that one 1 star. I feel like this is controversial too, and I am sorry. And I know people don't like Colleen Hoover, which I don't really like many of her books either. I remember thinking like, what am I reading as I was reading this book? Solid 1 star. This is about like a ghost, and the guy like falls in love with this ghost, and there's a big plot twist with the ghost. It's kind of like people switching bodies almost. I'm not going to give too much away because I feel like when I describe books, I literally give the whole plot away because I just kind of tell you the ending. I do remember the ending, so it wasn't the worst book ever, but I was just reading it. I wonder if I oh, I can't check. I'm recording with my phone. I know some people like it. I'm not sure why. Next book. I read this back in January, maybe March. I don't know, sometime a while ago. And I feel bad because this is also another Stephen King book. But I do think I liked this book, but I feel bad because I don't remember it very well at all. So this is a continuation, not a continuation, but like, you know, the second book to The Shining. And I did not read these back to back. I read The Shining a long time ago and I've seen the movie, but this is Dr. Sleep. I also watched the movie on this, but I don't remember it very well. And which is sad to say, like, I don't remember this book well, but I do remember I enjoyed it. Like, I pretty thoroughly enjoyed this book. I think I rated it 4 stars. And it's about the little kid. If you haven't read this book, it's about the little kid from The Shining as an adult. And I believe he meets a young girl, and like she's got like powers kind of and stuff, and that is all I can tell you. Oh my god. My monthly videos will not be like this, okay, people? It will not be like this because I remember stuff from the previous month, but this was months ago and it just didn't stick with me for some reason. I also think it's because it took me so long to read it, because I was definitely not into reading like I am now when I finished this book. I think I rated it like 4 stars because I did enjoy it. This is called The Fear. I'm not sure where I saw this, maybe TikTok, and I decided to buy it. This is like about a meme going on at school, and I think from what I can remember, people are just dying. I don't know if it's you don't send the meme and then you die or something, or you're being targeted by the meme. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you, but it's basically just trying to figure out who's doing this, like who's killing these people, which I don't remember. I don't remember who's killing the people. I didn't like this one either. I think I rated it 2.5 or 3 stars. It just didn't really do it for me. I love a thriller book and kind of like a mystery, but it just wasn't all that for me. I don't know. It kind of felt more like something I would like when I was a bit younger, maybe like a teenager, you know, which I'm only 24, but it's still, I don't know. It just kind of felt like, it's okay. Finally, I can say this. I absolutely loved Daisy Jones and the Six. I had this on my bookshelf for quite a while before I finally read it, and I just took forever because I thought I wouldn't like it. I had no clue what it was about. I went into this book totally no clue what this was about, and I actually listened to music on my headphones while I read the book, which I never ever do, and I just felt so engulfed in this book, and I read it in like a day and a half. I was obsessed with it. I loved Daisy. I loved all the characters. I don't know. I felt like I was in the story. It was amazing. It was an amazing experience reading this book. It was so cool the way it was set up like an interview. I'm sure you know what this is about, but it's about a girl that's like a singer trying to make it. First, she's trying to make it on her own. She's really addicted to a lot of different drugs and stuff. She's not doing a great path. Then she comes across this band, Daisy Jones and the Six. You know, they end up forming a band, and it's about their experience with that band and just kind of the tale of how the band ended up not being a band. Okay, that's how it is. And I love the ending of this. I thought it was so just cute who is doing the interview when you find out. I don't know. I just get butterflies thinking about this book. I absolutely loved it. It was a 5-star read. It was one of the first 5-star reads I'd had after a lot of negative reviews reads. So I loved it. Highly recommend that book if you haven't read it already. I loved this series. I cannot go through each of these books and tell you individual things about them because, like I said, with series this long especially, it kind of starts getting jumbled up in my head. I'm sure you know about this series. I'm not going to go into what it's about because this video is getting long, but I loved it. I love Selena. I really liked most of the characters other than there's one character which I kind of can't remember his name. I'm so sorry. Y'all will probably know who I'm talking about. It's like her first love interest in the book. I didn't really care for him that much, but I didn't hate him like some people hated him. He's just kind of boring. I guess that's how I describe him. I will say Assassin's Blade, I think I read it at a bad point in the book because I did not read this book first. I read it fourth. I don't think I read it in a bad point, actually. I think I read it at an okay point. I'm glad I did not read this first. Some people do, but I do not think I would have liked this as much if I had, because I would have had no idea who any of these people are. And it would have just confused me. But this is probably my least favorite book out of all of them, just because I don't really like the whole 4 stories in one type thing. The next books I read were the first 3 of The City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. So I know people read these back in middle school and high school. I never did because I was not into fantasy. So I'm a late bloomer of this series. And I really liked it. It's definitely not as good as ACOTAR or Throne of Glass. I feel like the main character is really freaking annoying in this one. And I know there's multiple different series that kind of intertwine in this. And these are the only ones I've read so far. I think these are like a good solid 3.5 to possibly 4-star books. I feel like the timeline is kind of strange in it though. Everything seems to happen really, really quickly. And there's just never a break. That's kind of how I felt about it. But, you know, they were good. They were good. And I said City of Bones, but this is the Mortal Instruments. Sorry, guys. The City of Bones is the name of this book. Mortal Instruments. I haven't finished the series yet, though, because I'm trying to read it in the order you're supposed to. But then I got a Kindle, and that messed everything up because none of them are on Kindle Unlimited. And I'm not buying them since I already own all of them. and I don't want to read a paperback. Please convince me to read a paperback because it's hard. This is the last paperback I read, which this is the Red Scrolls of Magic. I liked it. I think I rated it like 3.5 stars. We're gonna get to the Kindle books. One of the ones I read was I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy. I loved Jennette McCurdy's book. I read that so fast, 5 stars. Her story, it made me so sad. Like, oh my gosh, I had no clue because I was a huge fan of iCarly. So just seeing, it felt like behind the scenes just of her life was so interesting and just sad. Everything that she went through with her mom. Highly recommend if you haven't read it, which you probably have because it's been a big thing. Next book I read was, I'm just gonna try to put this up too, The Coworker. Can you all see that? Read that really quick. That was the first book I think I read on my Kindle. Read it almost the first night I had my Kindle, and I really enjoyed it. It's about this lady that starts working at this new job, and they work in like an office setting for this strange company, and one of the employees there does not like this new girl very much because she's strange. She's kind of a strange one. She's really obsessed with turtles. Was it turtles? Totally obsessed. That's all she talks about. It's really strange. Then she just goes missing. A lot of evidence is pointing to her coworker. So the coworker is kind of being like framed. That's how I'm gonna describe it. Like, people think she did it. Which, did she do it? Maybe she did it. Maybe she's not framed. I'm not gonna tell you, but it was really interesting. And I liked it. It was kind of like, wow, I was not expecting that. I think I rated that one like 4 stars. It was good. But I already returned one of the books I read on here, which is sad that it doesn't stay on here because I can't show you, but it was Credence, which I know most people have probably heard of. That book was freaking weird. I like the smut scenes. That's how I felt about it, which was strange. But it was a really odd book. This girl loses her parents. They committed suicide. And she ends up going and living with an uncle that she's never met and his 2 kids. And it is the strangest thing. One of the strangest books I've ever read. Because it is like some weird shit going on with all 3 of them. And I'm assuming you know what I mean. Like, the way she goes from like dude to dude and like her uncle, it's like, they may not be blood, but to me I was like, this is really weird, especially that you're like doing this with all of them and then like falling in love with one of them at the end. It was just so weird. I think I rated it like 2 stars. I know a lot of people loved it, but to me it was too weird for me. It's too weird. Next one is Does It Hurt? I don't know why I read another book like this right after I read Credence. This one was also strange. It's about a girl. She's doing some illegal activity. She basically sleeps with men, steals their identity, takes off, this is how she makes money. And so she ends up finding this guy or meeting this guy at a bar, steals his identity, but then they see each other because he's like on a hunt. He knows that she did this. He's on a hunt. So then he takes her out on the ocean and the water on a boat, and he does some strange things. He's a little weird. It's a little strange, They're doing something weird together. He bites her, I think, and like blood's kind of gushing out of her neck a little bit, and shoves her head in the water. Sharks are like coming near. It's a weird thing. But then a whole crazy storm happens, takes their boat. Boat's like, I guess, ripped apart. I don't know. She swims them to shore because he's passed down. They're on this weird deserted island, but it's not actually deserted. And the guy there is really weird that they meet and that they end up living with for a while. And that's all I can really say about it because I don't want to give it away, but it is a strange book. These 2 people are stuck on this island together. They like hate each other right now at the time, because she stole his identity. It's a weird one. That one I think I rated like 2 stars as well. And that was for this month. So the next book I read, which I just finished yesterday, The Serpent in the Wings of the Night. I'm reading the second one. I'm 15% through it right now. And I have not read a book about vampires in so long. It was really good. I think a lot of people know what this book is about, so I'm not going to go into it. This video is getting so long. But I rated that 4 stars. It almost reminded me of like a Hunger Game type thing, but not exactly, but similar. And then whoever wins gets a wish from the goddess Neoxia or whatever her name is. And then it was pretty good, I don't think it's the best fantasy book I've read for sure, but I didn't hate it. Like, I think it was interesting, and that's why I'm reading the second one. Now we are finally on the last book I read so far in 2023, and that is The Grace Year. I heard this from other booktubers, which I'm not considering myself a booktuber when I say that, because I'm definitely not. I have one video and this is it. But I loved this book. I thought it was so good. Oh my gosh, I didn't even check to see if the other ones are out yet. I don't think they are, but I want to finish the series. It's about this girl. It's really about these girls because they live in just a dystopian type of world where the women are just not treated well. People think they have all this magic, and so they're sent to the grace year and they have to survive for like a year. They go crazy basically and hurt each other, and this girl's experience in the grace year. Well, it's really all the girls' experience and just everything that happened. It's kind of hard to, I feel like it's hard for me to explain that one too without giving away things. I remember it really clearly because I just read it recently and I really enjoyed it. So I highly recommend it. I rated that one about 4.5 stars. Those are all the books I've read so far in the year. And I feel like that's a decent amount. I'm pretty proud of myself. Thank y'all for watching this video. Leave me some suggestions on what books you like and also what videos you would like to see. Please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it, especially since this is my first video. And I really want to post on here at least once a week in the beginning as I'm starting. I want to at least do it once a week. I'm going to stick to it. So I'll see y'all in my next video. Bye.